Now, let me talk about people that I know. I'm going to talk about the first agent I ever hired. I hired an agent in the fall of 1974. He come to work for me in January of 75. He worked for a service station, J Standard. We used to be out by the Ramcota. He worked there back in 1975. Self-service wasn't as active as it is today. In fact, it's not. Self-service is about all there is anymore. But back in 1975, most people that pulled into a gas station filled up their car by the attendant. The attendant came out and he'd lift the hood and check the oil and check for fan belts and do those kind of things. And then he would fill the gas, and then you would either give him a credit card or give him the money, and he'd take it, go in and put it in the cash register. Now, I had business in that area of town, and so I was out there frequently, and I'd pull into J Standard to fill up my Cadillac, and this guy would come out and wait on me, and I got to know him because every time he'd lift the hood on my car, he'd come out and say, "Oh, your fan belt's getting a little frail, and you should probably put it on. If you got a minute or two, I'll put it on for you." "Well, how much is that going to go?" "Well, he'd tell me a price." I say, "All right, put it on." Or I say, "Hey, your oil's getting a little gummy there. Maybe we ought to run it in and do an oil change for you. It'll only take a few minutes. Why don't you let me roll it in and we'll get your oil change." So one day I said to him, "Dave, well, how come you keep asking me about fan belts and changing oil and all that?" And he says, "Well, Jay gives me a 5% commission if I sell. So I just take advantage of that and just try and, because I need every bit of money I can get." I says, "Gosh, yeah, I can see how you point." I said, "What kind of money do you make out here?" "Oh," he says, "I make $3 an hour." Now, remember, folks, this is 1975, 74 actually. "Oh, okay. Well, what's that? If you work 40 hours a week, you make $120 a week, right?" "Yep." "Well, do you work 40 hours?" "No," he says, "I work more than that. I gotta work as hard as I can." I said, "Oh, really? Well, what do you make a month working for Jay?" He said, "Well, with commissions and everything, about $640 a month." I said, "Really?" "Yeah." And I said, "You know what? You're a natural salesman. You kind of enjoy selling." I said, "And you're out here working, pumping gas and doing a little oil change and fan belt changes and stuff like that. You're wasting your efforts." I said, "Why don't you come on in and talk to me? You got a day off once in a while?" "Yeah." He said, "Well, here's my office. Why don't you come in and talk to me?" So he came in and he visited with me, and in fact, I hadn't even made the move over to my new office. So he came in where I was working, and we went in and shut the door and talked about it. And I said, "I'm going to be opening a new office here, and I'm looking to add some agents, and you'd work out." He says, "Well, what do I have to do?" And I said, "Well, you got to take a real estate class." In those days, I wasn't teaching real estate classes like I do now. So I hooked him up with a real estate class, and he went through the class and took the exam. And he calls me and says, "I passed the test." I said, "Great. He says, "When can we get together?" He says, "Well, let's get together next week," because it was a weekend. I said, "What day?" He says, "Well, I'm off on Tuesday." I said, "Great, come on in." So he says, "I can't, I got 2 kids and my wife doesn't work, and I can't just quit my job and go into this real estate because I would starve." I said, "I understand, Dave. Why don't we do it this way? Why don't you start off part-time Now, what time do you get off in the afternoon? He says, oh, 5 o'clock. I said, well, here's what you need to do. You need to come in my office when you get off work, and I'll show you how to prospect. It's actually easier to prospect in the evening because people are home from work. So I'll show you how to prospect, and we'll get you started. Okay, he said, I'll be in. And so we set it up. I sent for his license and come in, and we got him all started. I showed him how to prospect. And he was one of the best prospectors I ever had. I'm telling you, this guy was ambitious, and he was focused. He wanted to get whatever he could get out of the business. And as God is my judge, in the first quarter that he was with me, he had one of the best starts I've ever seen. He had $26,000 in escrow, in closings, commissions that were earned for him and my office and me. And that was in this first quarter. And he was one of the best real estate agents I ever hired. And he worked for me from 1975 till 1980, 5 years. Then when 80 came along, everything fell apart, as we were talking about, and he thought, well, maybe I'll do better with another office. So he went with another office, and he went over there, and he wasn't there very long, and decided he liked it better with me. And he come back, and he was with me until 85, and then he went with Remax on their 100% program. He's still in the business today. He's been a partner in the firm. He's had his own office, and now he's working for Keller Williams, which is in town now, because he likes the program they have. But he's still in the business. His son's in the business with him, and so are his wife and some of his kids, his other children. He's been very successful. He's got apartment houses. He's had other apartment houses. He's got houses. He's really got an income built up. And here's a guy that came from as a station attendant at J Standard. I use him as a. Now I'm going to say this: he was wildly successful, and most people aren't, because he was ambitious and he was focused on what he wanted and what he wanted to get out of the business. But I've had a lot of people that have come to work for me, and they just like the freedom of being free to do what they want when they want to do it. And they didn't want to strive to make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year like Dave did. They wanted to make a good income and have the freedom of being their own boss. And so I've had a lot of agents that worked for me that made between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, and was happy with that. So I'm not trying to say that everyone that should go in that should be disappointed if they don't make $200,000, $300,000 a year. Dave was not the most successful agent I ever had, and one of the agents that I had, not working for me, but he later was working at Remax, and then he worked at Hague. He had like $32 million in production when he was at Hague, which brought in $960,000 to Hague and and he had a 90-10 split with Bill Hague. So he was making $870,000 a year. That's the biggest success story that ever came from someone that I trained and that went on to make a lot of money. And he now owns one of the biggest real estate companies in Sioux Falls. And I'll just leave it at that, because I don't want to use a name, because I haven't asked him for permission. So, but that's some of the things that you can do in real estate. Now, I want to thank you for looking at my program, and hopefully, if you give me a call, you can call me at, my phone number is area code 605-366-0135. That's my cell phone. Or if you want, you can go to my website, which is Danderson. I'm David Anderson. Take the first letter in my first name, which is D like in dog, Anderson with an O, schoolofrealestate.com. That's my website. If you want to go there and check it out, you can see about the real estate course, how it works, and hopefully we can work together and I can help you get started in real estate. By the way, the reason I'm doing this is my company is looking for some new agents, some new blood. We want to help you get started. And if you're interested, give me a call. Again, I'm David Anderson. I own the Realty Center in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And my phone number is 605-366-0135. If you want to call my office, that's 605-334-0400. If I'm not there, ask for Daryl. Thank you.